So this is one reason why I'm not actually an Apple fan. This is the reason. Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm your host and this is the App Tech. And today let's talk about the 3 reasons why Apple is such a hated brand. So whenever you try to buy some product, you probably ask yourself the first question, Apple product or any other brand. Like for phones, you might consider an iPhone or any Android phone. Or for laptops, you might consider a MacBook or a general Windows device, right? And when you look out for reviews, when you try to ask someone if which product is better, you might face some people who are very against Apple, and they're like, nahi yaar, Apple mat le, nahi yaar, it's just overpriced, nahi yaar, it's not worth it, or it's just too much marketed and Apple is not good, it's not, mostly you will hear it's not worth it, or it's just overpriced. Okay, so most of the hatred is basically about how dominant Apple has become over the period. But I also feel that Apple is good in a lot of aspects, and you should not just refuse a product just because it is from a certain brand. It is for like it is applicable to any kind of brand. So you should not just accept a product just because it belongs to a certain brand, and you should not refuse a product just because it belongs to a certain brand. You should probably research more about the product than researching about the brand. Brand is important, it's definitely very important, because brand will provide you the trust that you need. A product can be good, but is it gonna stay good? Is it gonna receive all the updates I'm looking for, or is it gonna become better over time? These things depend on brand and not really on the product. I mean, the first priority should be the product, not the brand, and the second priority should definitely be the brand though. So let's talk about why Apple is so hated amongst like so many people, and how should this affect your purchasing. Like, I would definitely tell you to first research the product that you're buying and then research the brand that you trust. So let's first talk about what Apple does wrong, and that is why it's hated so much. But then I will eventually talk about why Apple is also a great company. I think the topic should have been why Apple is so controversial, but but I think it's more hated than it is controversial. So yeah, let's begin. Okay, so the very first reason that Apple is hated is probably because there have been so many complaints that Apple doesn't listen to the users. From the very beginning of Apple, like from the time Steve Jobs was in charge of the Apple company, he would do things that nobody in the market was actually caring about, right? And he would be like, you don't care about this, but you don't know what you want. I know what you want and I will give you that and you will love it. That's my guarantee. So that's the kind of person Steve Jobs was. And that's the kind of thing Apple grew into. Like, that is the value of Apple that actually still kind of holds. Today, Apple is listening a lot more of its user than it used to do before, but it still doesn't listen a lot. Like, people are hating the fact that it is removing the headphone jack. It is still removing the headphone jack. People don't like that it is not giving us the break. It still isn't giving you the break. It doesn't care what you think. It will do what it wants because it thinks that is best. So in the era where you start appreciating freedom, a company is actually trying to rule on you even though you buy their product. You're not just using it for free, you're buying it, you're paying for it, and you still cannot do things with your phone that, like, companies still restricting you. Changing a wallpaper on an iPhone was such a big deal. Like, it shouldn't be that much of a big deal, right? It's just a wallpaper, but I cannot change it. Even though I paid for the entire product, I cannot even change my wallpaper. So that's the kind of limitation Apple is putting on its users. Now, there are 2 types of users. First, they don't really care what the wallpaper is. They don't really care what are the options they are given. All they care about is, I want a phone which is functional. I don't want to customize it. I think what default setting is a great option for me, and I will just take it and use it. I'll make calls, I'll text people, and I'll email people, and I'll record videos, which all things I should be able to do with my phone. I don't want to customize, and so I don't care what Apple is restricting in terms of customizations. So I just want my phone to work, or my device to simply work. If I'm buying a phone and it tells me that it is using Face ID to open my device, and it is a very secure way to do so, I want to trust that company, I want to trust that product, and I want to be able to do things the way it was advertised. So this reminds me of a video that was released by Craig from Apple Explained, in which it says that Android will give you 5 options. It will give you a lot of options. Right? Basically, any company that is not Apple will give you a lot of options and choices, and you can choose among them. But Apple will not give you any choice. If they remove the fingerprint sensor from your phone, that's it. That's it. There's no choice. You cannot buy a flagship iPhone and have a fingerprint sensor in that. You don't have the option anymore, right? But Android phones won't do that. They will give you the option. They'll tell you, you want to unlock your phone with your face, your fingerprint, PIN, your iris sensor, anything. We'll give you the option. But the problem with Android phones is usually they do not perform as they are being advertised. So if I'm a busy person, I don't care about customization, I don't care about options, but I do care about the functionality. Like if you tell me that this is gonna work in my iPhone, that better work in my iPhone, or else I don't care about the product at all. But if you tell me you have 5 options, you can do this and this and this and this, and when I actually go and try to do that, nothing works, at least not in a way that it was advertised. I don't care about the options in that sense. I don't care you give me 5 options or 1,000 options. If nothing works, I don't want that, right? That's the mantra of Apple. We will not give you choice, but what we give you is gonna work. In fact, Steve Jobs had said, it just works. So no options, but we know what you want. So we'll give you what you will actually enjoy. Just try it and you will actually enjoy it. That's the Apple mantra. And with other companies, probably usually Windows devices and Android phones, it mostly happens that we are giving a lot of choices. You can customize it anyway, but you cannot do things seamlessly, right? It is gonna give you some sort of trouble down the line. Like it is gonna do that. And Samsung is notoriously famous for making a lot of gimmicky features. I know they are too focused on marketing, and they release so many gimmicky features. I don't trust it, right? I mean, they make extremely great hardware, but I don't trust when they say that this is a function we have released and this is so much useful to a layman and you're going to use it every day. I don't believe that. I don't buy it. I'm sure you are telling me that, but I'm probably not going to use that, and it's going to take too much battery or something. If something's going to happen, and not be using it, and it's all just there for marketing. So yeah, back to the 2 kinds of use. If you treat your phone as a device you want to use to get things done, then Apple is probably good for you. But if you want to treat your device in a way that it is actually, like if you want to customize your device a lot, if you want a lot of freedom and a lot of options with your phone, then you should probably go with the Android phones or the Windows devices, right? So Apple has always been of this closed mindset that whatever we do end to end. We make our own chips, we make our own phones, we make our own OS, and we integrate everything, and we don't let an outsider come in. Even if that outsider is you who has purchased the device, you cannot come inside the system. But Android phones, on the other hand, are very, very flexible and customizable, right? So if you if you want to go inside your phone, if you want to be able to customize your phone inside out, and you want to treat your device like a tiny toy, maybe you want to play with it, you want to change its skins, the inside skin, the ROM thing, and things like that, you're better off with an Android phone, because Apple is not giving you the freedom, and it is not gonna give you the freedom of customizing your phone. They are so much against it. So this is basically the reason Apple is so hated, and of course it is overpriced. I agree with that, but then which company is it? Like, which industry isn't trying to make profit? Every industry is trying to do that, okay? If they are selling a product like with a really good, like if they're selling a really good product at a really cheap price, the company is not gonna stay for a long time. Like, it is not in the faith, like it's not in the interest of the company itself to do that, and they're not going to stay. Like, as a tech enthusiast, I love products that give you the greatest thing at the cheapest price, but it comes at a cost, right? It comes at a cost to the company. And uh, and like, companies like Pebble have done that, and they have gone downhill like really bad. Company like Next Bit Robin did that, and they went downhill. OnePlus tried to do that, but it changed, right? So it started as a company who would give you the best thing at the cheapest price, and people were nuts about it. But let's be honest, you did not probably know about OnePlus when it was doing that, because it was not spending enough on marketing. And when industries start spending on marketing, they want their marketing price, they add their marketing price to the product itself. So even though the product itself is not that expensive, the company had to spend so much to get their products out there. So that margin is going to get added to your product. It is inevitable, right? So when OnePlus was not advertising, it was a great phone at a great value. But then it started advertising, and then now it's not that. The way OnePlus started, the OnePlus 1 was so revolutionary. The OnePlus 3, I was crazy about the phone. But then I think the OnePlus 6 and 7 were the last best thing. OnePlus 8 is not bad. OnePlus 9 is not bad. They are good, but they're not great. They are not what OnePlus used to be. It changed. It had to change. It cannot survive by just giving people things for free. It just cannot do that. No company can do that. So any company has to make profit, and they will do it. And the thing is, Apple can get away with it. If I owned a company which could get away by selling a phone worth 1 lakh, I would do it. Why would I not do it? Why would I lessen the cost of my devices? Why? And the most important thing I would like you to say is, before hating a company, try a product. I have seen so many people hating on Apple and actually never have been trying, like, who have never tried a single Apple product. Try a product and then tell me that you hate this feature. Of course, if you try the iPhone and then you say that it doesn't give you enough freedom and I hate this about it, that's very genuine. That's very genuine. But if you don't even try the product and you just say it is giving so much limitations and it is not worth it, that's not even an argument. You have never tried the product, you cannot say that's not worth it. With that, coming to the second point, the not worth it argument. I think that is the lamest argument. iPhones are not worth it, Apple products are not worth it, and all this just on the basis of what they show on paper. So people coming to you like, an iPhone will give you 4 GB RAM at 1 lakh of rupees, right? And you can buy an Android phone and it will give you 8 GB RAM. Do you know the difference between those things? It's just double the amount of RAM. It's so much more powerful. Apple is just fooling everyone. You know what, pal? That comes down to performance. And Apple can give you the performance. Like, Apple can give you better performance in 4 GB RAM than an Android will give you in 8 GB RAM. And there is a reason. The reason is the end-to-end control. Since Apple is making its own chip, its own product, its own OS, it is way more efficient. It does not need 4 GB RAM. Whereas Android, with the Android phones, the problem is there's one company that makes the processor for every single smartphone, like for most of the flagships, like at least for every single flagship smartphone. So there's one company, Snapdragon, that makes flagship chips for every phone, and there's no partnership, right? They do not communicate anything about the phone's hardware or the chip's hardware. They just have to make one processor with the intent of one size fits all, right? So they don't know how the hardware is going to use it, but they have to make it. So they put 4 GB of RAM or 8 GB of RAM so that every kind of hardware can use it properly, right? Not every hardware would need 8 GB RAM, not every hardware would be using 8 GB RAM, but they just make it in a way that everyone can use it properly, which is one size fits all. And then there's OS. The OS is also an open source software. So Google is making a software that is also one size fits all. It does not, when you're making this software, you do not know the size of the hardware. You know the sizes of the phone can vary from this big, actually this big. There are Android phones that are this big to this big, and there are notes the Samsung Note and MI Note, and so the sizes vary, the hardware varies, the cameras vary. So basically there are a lot of variables when it comes to Windows or Android devices, and there's not a lot of optimization. So Android devices really cannot get away with 4 GB of RAM, but iPhones can. They can give you a great experience even with 4 GB RAM. And currently there's a hype of this 120 hertz display and 90 hertz display, right? And iPhone only provides like 60 hertz displays, but the optimization is so good that you really would not be able to differentiate between an iPhone 60 hertz display and an Android's 90 hertz display. So people who argue about iPhones with very less system power, and they are saying that it is still behind in terms of hardware, like it can definitely benefit from a better hardware, but it is not lagging behind in terms of user experience. It is still giving you the experience other kind of phones are giving you, and actually even better in some use cases. Actually, one use case of an iPhone is it gives you great video quality, like especially on social media. So if you're using an iPhone and you're sharing your videos and you're creating videos on iPhone, sharing it on social media like Instagram and Twitter, it comes out better than creating videos on an Android phone and then sharing it on Instagram or Twitter. And that also boils down to one term: optimization. There are thousands of Android phones, but there are only 7-8 iPhones. So when even a third-party software developer has to create an app, they have to think about optimization. They have to create, again, one size fits all for all the thousands of Android phones. But they know with surety that there are only these many screen sizes available on an iPhone. The hardware only supports this. There's only one kind of hardware. There's only one kind of chip. Even for an Android phone, even though there is one company that creates most of the chips, it does not create all of the chips. And Android phones come in different price ranges, and which is essentially changes, which essentially is the difference between the chips. So there are variable chips as well. So when it comes to third-party softwares, it is really easier for a third-party software to, like, for the developer to create a third-party software that is way more optimized for an iPhone than it is optimized for an Android phone. It becomes a lot tougher for that. So people who argue that it does not give you the latest hardware in the market, it does not give you like 8 GB RAM, make sure you use the product first and you realize the optimization that goes behind it. Also, numbers are not everything. If even in Android phones, if two companies say that they both have packed in 8 GB of RAM, it does not mean they will provide same kind of experience, because there are a lot more factors that goes into it, and software and optimization is a huge thing. So while Google makes like the best softwares and Samsung makes the best hardwares, Apple makes the best optimization when they make their softwares and hardwares, and they make great softwares and hardwares. They do not lag behind. They make really good software and hardware, and they can optimize it and they can integrate it. It comes out to be like a very great product. So like when you were in school, did it have ever happened that you were like 4 or 5 friends and There was like one friend who topped in English. There was another friend who topped, like, who scored the highest in maths. Another friend scored the highest in science. Another friend scored highest in social science. There was one friend who scored second highest in every single thing, but overall he scored or she scored the first position. Actually, that happened to me. That did literally happen to my friend. Used to score mostly second position in all the subjects, and she topped the class, and I used to score like highest in maths or science maybe, and my friends used to score highest in English and some in social science, and we were like third, fourth, fifth people, and she would top the class every single time because she can because she can do good in all the subjects, and that is what matters. Like, you can be great in software and you can be great in hardware, but if you want to create a phone and you want to force your software and hardware, like Google creates a great softwares, but it is not able to create, like, it is improving obviously, but it's not able to create great hardwares. Earlier it used to team up with companies like LG and Samsung to create its phones, but today it is making its own phone. It is not doing such a great job, and Samsung always forces itself to make its own software, like the Bixby app or the custom ROM on top of this Android OS, and it is not doing a great job in that. So these two kind of do lag behind. But when it comes to iPhones, it does every single thing in a really great way, and it kind of creates really good products. It creates good products, right? It can give you a lot of limitations, but it creates good products. And as far as the price thing is concerned, I think that depends on you. Like, if you want to spend this much for this thing, see what happens. There is a performance versus price graph which goes like this. It does not go like this, right? So it's not like your performance is going to increase and so will your price. It is not a straight line. It is a curve. So if your performance is increasing, your price is increasing slightly, right? But depends. So when you are at 95% performance, and if you want to improve your performance even more, there will be a high increase in price compared to the increase in performance, and it stands mostly everywhere, even in Apple products itself, right? So let's compare, like, let's say the iPad Air and the iPad Pro. They have a difference of price in, like, iPad. You can get an iPad Air in 70k and you can get an iPad Pro in 90k, I guess. I think I remember the actual price, but they do have a difference of 20k roughly. And iPad Air can give you 95% of iPad Pro's performance, not 100%, 90% you can say, and it is for just that 10% or the 5% thing, the price difference is 20k, which is huge. But this is exactly how things improve. This is exactly how it goes. A flagship killer will cut corners and it will give you 95% performance, and it will give you a price drop that you'll think is huge. But when it comes to giving 100% performance, the thing would be pricey. And one more thing that actually increases Apple products price is they don't sell your data. What happens is, with any or most Android phones, they will offer you a cheap product, but in return they will use your data and they will sell it, and that's how they'll earn profit. But Apple does not do that. So in order to not sell your data, it has to get its money from somewhere. So it just sells hardware. It sells you the entire thing for the entire price, and it tells you, we will not snoop on your data, we will not give your data to anyone, and your privacy is important. Now, the third and the most valid reason for Apple hatred, and like, this is one reason even I won't like a company, and this is one reason even I don't like Apple. I'm not an Apple fangirl, by the way. I do use an Android phone. I do like other companies. I do appreciate when other companies do a great job. I'm not an Apple fangirl. So this is one reason why I'm not actually an Apple fangirl. The reason is Monarchy. So Apple has become such a giant that whatever Apple does becomes the trend. Everyone starts following it, which is bad for you as a customer. When a company tries to do something and there is no competition behind it, there is no one who is opposing, like no company is opposing it, and every company is actually following that trend, it is bad for the user. There is less competition, and less competition is always bad. So like, if you follow me on Twitter, I have actually tweeted a lot about the tile company, and the tile company having to face so much competition from Apple after the release of AirTags. And because there are so many there are so many Apple users, a lot of people are gonna switch to AirTag if they were using tile, and they're gonna buy the AirTag if they are in the market for some kind of finder device, which I'm not really not in the favor of. Really, I think there is some competition in the market, should always be there. If there is no competition, the company literally is a monarch, and whatever it does, we will have to accept it. So what happens is, Apple is not, see, Apple can control its product, right? It can tell you that we are not giving you a headphone jack from our in our phones anymore. You cannot do anything about it, right? That's fine. And you still have a choice. You can choose the iPhone, or you can choose any other product in the market. But what Apple does is, when it removes the headphone jack, literally every single company starts copying it, and every single company starts removing the headphone jack. Now if you want a phone with a headphone jack, you don't have the option. I mean, you still have option, but you have like very few options compared to the giant phone market, right? That's what Apple is doing. When it creates a trend, it's removing competition. There are not many companies who are up against Apple with the competition, and it's not their fault, honestly. It's definitely a customer's fault. If Apple is doing something and we are loving it, we are still buying Apple products, every company is going to follow that, so that people buy their product as well. So it is a vicious cycle, but this is giving Apple a lot of power, which is never good for the industry. See, if there is competition, there is going to be innovation. Android phones may release gimmicky products, but they are the one who are actually stepping towards the innovation, right? Apple is not releasing a rolling phone or a foldable phone, but Samsung is, and other Android companies are. So that is what pushes innovation. Competition pushes innovation, and when there is a monarchy, there is no innovation, which is why people hate Apple sheeps, right? So if you love a company just because of the tag, if the company is doing anything and you're just accepting it, that will give the company a monarch, and it will lessen the competition, it will lessen your choices, it will lessen the innovation, and it is not really good for market or for you. So yeah, that monarchy of a company is very dangerous, and that is one reason. Like, if you refuse Apple products, if you refuse to buy Apple products, I mean, if a lot of people do that, it will bring the sales down, and it will remove the Apple from being a monarch. But that's like, it's like trying to say that you should save the environment, so don't use your fridge or your AC. You won't do that, right? You would prefer your own facility first, and then you will think about the world. So if Apple is providing a good product, you will buy it most likely, and you won't just reject it because you are against it becoming a monarch. And I don't know, I mean, of course, it's not on one person's shoulder, it's on everyone's shoulder, and let's see how it turns out. But today Apple is making good products, and if you don't like it, don't buy it. If you like it, buy it. Don't go with the fact that Apple is providing limitations on you. If you don't care about the limitations, that doesn't matter. I'm actually the kind of person who does not make a lot of change. Like, I used to, of course, I used to change my ROM, and I used to put custom ROMs. I did that a lot, but then I eventually found that the default settings are always better than whatever I did to my phone. So I don't do that anymore, right? And today we are almost getting everything that a person would need. Like, in earlier times, people would jailbreak the iPhone to do things like change a wallpaper or get like widget things. Today you are being provided with all that. A lot of Android users cannot switch to iPhone because they use a lot of modded apps. So again, that does become a limitation for you if you do use a lot of modded apps. But if you don't, and if you prefer paying for an app than buying a modded app, because of course you care about privacy, right? And you care about the developer who is making it, and you think that I should use genuine things, then you probably should get an Apple phone on the Apple products, because that will suit your requirement. But if you care about modification, you care about modded apps, you care about anything and everything, like you don't care about perfection, you don't care it is not able to do things properly, but you care about the device itself, like you want to play with the device, you're probably better off with an Android phone. So yeah, that's the three reasons. Those are the three reasons why Apple is being hated. And if it applies to you, like, take a step back and reflect on yourself if that like you care about those things, and then decide on a product. And definitely remember, decide on a product first and then on the brand. Like, you should like the product. Even Apple can release bad things, even Apple releases bad phones, right? And bad things, bad products. So choose the product first, then care about the company. Like, if you really like the product, can you trust the company, can you trust the brand? That is a big deal, but product comes first. So that's been it. Thank you so much for watching the video. If you do like the video, make sure to hit that like button, because I need more views. And make sure to subscribe to the channel if you're into tech, or if you need to know about tech, because I am gonna make more videos, and I can really use your feedback. If you have anything to say, please say that down in the comments, and I will probably use that to improve my videos, and I would love to hear from you. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next video.